The condemnation. The stars looked different through the bridge windows of the Prometheus. Captain Sarah Chen had been staring at them for 3 hours, watching the distant suns flicker like dying candles. Something was wrong. The silence from Earth Command stretched on for days now, and the normally busy communication channels remained dead. "Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission." Lieutenant Rosa Martinez called from her station. Her voice carried a tension that made Sarah's stomach clench. "It's from the Galactic Federation Council." Sarah straightened in her command chair. The Federation rarely contacted human vessels directly. Usually, all communications went through Earth's diplomatic channels. "Put it through." The main screen flickered to life, revealing the stern face of Admiral Zektar, a reptilian being whose species had been humanity's primary contact with the galactic community. His cold, golden eyes held no warmth as they fixed on Sarah. Captain Chen of the Earth vessel Prometheus. His voice carried the mechanical undertone of a universal translator. "By order of the Galactic Federation Council, your ship and crew are hereby condemned. You have violated the sacred protocols by accessing forbidden technology." Sarah felt her blood turn to ice. "Admiral, I don't understand. We're on a scientific mission. We haven't violated any protocols." Dr. Marcus Webb, her chief scientist, stepped forward from his position near the research station. His face had gone pale. "Captain, I think this is about the artifact." 3 weeks ago, the Prometheus had discovered something incredible on the dead world of Kepler 442c. Deep beneath the planet's surface, they had found a crystalline structure unlike anything in known science. The artifact pulsed with energy that seemed to bend space itself. Webb's team had been studying it, trying to understand its purpose. "The Helix Core," Admiral Zektar continued, his voice growing colder. "Your species has touched something that should have remained buried. The ancients who created it destroyed themselves with its power. We will not allow humanity to repeat their mistake." "Admiral, we can discuss this," Sarah said, trying to keep her voice steady. "We're willing to share our findings with the Federation. This discovery could benefit everyone." The alien's laugh was a harsh, grating sound. "Humans, always believing you can control what you touch. Your species has proven too dangerous, too unpredictable. The Federation has voted. Humanity will be contained." The screen shifted, showing a massive fleet of alien vessels dropping out of hyperspace around them. Sarah's heart hammered as she counted the ships. At least 50 vessels from a dozen different species. Cruisers, destroyers, and at the center, a massive dreadnought that could vaporize planets. "Surrender the artifact and prepare to be destroyed," Zektar commanded. "Your death will serve as a warning to your species. Humanity's expansion into the galaxy ends here." Sarah's crew looked to her, fear and determination mixing in their eyes. These were good people, scientists and explorers who had signed up to push the boundaries of human knowledge. They didn't deserve to die for the Federation's paranoia. "Like hell," Sarah whispered. Then, louder, "All hands, battle stations." The bridge erupted into activity. Martinez's fingers flew over her weapons console, while Engineer Tommy Liu routed power to the shields. They were outgunned 1,000 to 1, but humans had never backed down from impossible odds. "Captain," Webb approached her chair, his tablet in hand. "The artifact. It's been responding to our presence. I think it's trying to communicate." On his screen, Sarah could see the crystalline structure they had brought aboard. It was glowing brighter now, pulsing in rhythm with something she couldn't identify. "What kind of communication?" "I'm not sure, but the energy patterns suggest it's offering something. A choice." The first wave of enemy fire lit up their shields. The Prometheus shuddered under the assault, but held together. Sarah gripped her command chair as reports flooded in from all sections. "Shields at 60%, Liu called out. "I'm rerouting everything I can, but we can't take much more of this." Sarah looked at Webb. "What kind of choice?" "Integration," he whispered. "I think it wants to merge with our ship's systems. The energy signatures would create a feedback loop that could enhance every system we have." Another barrage hit them, stronger this time. The lights flickered and Sarah smelled the acrid scent of burning circuits. Her crew was depending on her to find a way out of this. Humanity's future might depend on what happened in the next few minutes. "Do it," she ordered. Webb's eyes widened. "Captain, we don't know what will happen. The integration could destroy us. We're dead anyway if we don't try," Sarah said firmly. "Activate the artifact." Webb nodded and began entering commands into his console. The ship's computer began interfacing with the alien technology, and immediately everything changed. The Prometheus screamed, not with sound, but with something deeper. Sarah felt it in her bones, in her mind. The ship was alive, and it was in pain. The artifact's energy flooded through every system, rewriting code, restructuring matter at the molecular level. The bridge lights shifted from their familiar blue-white to a pulsing golden glow. Sarah's command chair seemed to mold itself around her, and she felt tendrils of energy connecting her consciousness to the ship itself. For a moment, she could feel everything. Every rivet, every circuit, every life sign of her crew. "Captain," Martinez shouted, "our weapons, they're changing." On the tactical display, Sarah watched as their simple pulse cannons reconfigured themselves into something completely new. Energy flowed through the ship like blood through veins, and she realized they weren't just operating the Prometheus anymore. They were part of it. The enemy fleet fired again, but this time was different. The Prometheus moved like a living thing, dancing between the incoming fire with impossible grace. Sarah didn't consciously order the maneuver. The ship simply knew where to go. "Return fire," she commanded, and the response was devastating. Golden beams of energy lanced out from the Prometheus, striking 3 enemy vessels simultaneously. The alien ships didn't just explode. They seemed to dissolve, their matter converted into pure energy that the Prometheus absorbed and incorporated into its own structure. Admiral Zektar's image appeared on screen again, his reptilian features twisted with rage and something else. "Fear. Impossible," he hissed. "You don't understand what you've done. That technology killed its creators. It will consume you." Sarah felt the artifact's presence in her mind, ancient and vast, but not malevolent. It had been waiting, she realized, waiting for a species worthy of its power. The beings who created it hadn't been destroyed by it. They had transcended, become something greater. "Maybe," Sarah replied, feeling the ship's weapons charging for another volley. "But right now, it's saving us." The battle that followed was unlike anything in recorded galactic history. The Prometheus moved through the enemy fleet like a predator among prey, its golden weapons cutting through shields and armor that had withstood centuries of warfare. With each enemy ship destroyed, the Prometheus grew stronger, its systems more refined. Sarah felt her consciousness expanding, merging more deeply with the ship's artificial intelligence. She could sense her crew's thoughts, their fears and hopes. Webb was fascinated by the transformation occurring around them. Martinez felt a fierce joy as their impossible weapons carved through the enemy. Liu marveled at the ship's self-repairing systems, watching hull breaches seal themselves instantly. But it was more than just enhanced technology. The artifact was teaching them, showing them possibilities they had never imagined. Faster than light travel without the need for jump gates, energy manipulation that could terraform dead worlds or create new stars, the power to explore not just their galaxy, but others beyond. The Federation fleet began to retreat, their commanders finally understanding that they faced something beyond their comprehension. Admiral Zektar's dreadnought was the last to flee, its massive bulk limping away with hull breaches glowing like wounds. As the enemy ships vanished into hyperspace, Sarah felt the artifact's presence settle into a gentle hum throughout the ship. The golden glow remained, but it no longer felt alien. It felt like home. "Status report," she ordered, though she already knew the answer. The ship's enhanced sensors told her everything. "All systems optimal, Captain," Liu reported, wonder in his voice. "More than optimal. I'm reading efficiency ratings that shouldn't be possible. It's like the ship is alive." "Because it is," Webb said softly. "Captain, the artifact didn't just enhance our technology. It created a symbiotic relationship. We're not just operating the Prometheus anymore. We're part of it, and it's part of us." Sarah nodded, feeling the truth of his words. The transformation wasn't complete yet. She could sense the potential for something even greater, but it would require a choice. They could remain as they were, enhanced but still fundamentally human, or they could embrace the full power of the artifact and become something new. But that choice would have to wait. Right now, they had won a battle, but the war was just beginning. The Federation would return with more ships, more weapons, and somewhere out there, Earth was probably receiving ultimatums and threats. The Ascension. The comm channel crackled to life 6 hours after the battle, bringing news that made Sarah's enhanced connection to the ship pulse with anger. The transmission came from Earth, routed through a dozen relay stations to avoid Federation interception. "Prometheus, this is Admiral Harrison, Earth Defense Command." The familiar voice was strained with exhaustion. "The Federation has issued an ultimatum. All human colonies are to be evacuated within 30 days, and Earth is to surrender all faster-than-light technology. They claim you've activated some kind of weapon of mass destruction." Sarah felt the ship's systems respond to her emotional state, weapons briefly powering up before she forced them back to standby. Around her, the bridge crew worked at stations that had transformed themselves to better accommodate their enhanced abilities. The integration with the artifact had changed them all in subtle ways. "Admiral," Sarah replied, "the Federation attacked us without provocation. We defended ourselves with technology they're too afraid to understand." A pause, then Harrison's voice returned, heavy with defeat. "Sarah, they have 3,000 ships positioned around our solar system. Whatever you found out there, it's got them terrified. They're calling it the Phoenix Protocol, some kind of ancient doomsday weapon." Dr. Webb looked up from his station, where he'd been analyzing the artifact's continuing transformation of their ship. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures approaching our position. Multiple fleet formations, coming from different vectors." The tactical display lit up with contacts. Sarah felt the Prometheus's enhanced sensors reach out across impossible distances, cataloging the approaching threat. The Federation hadn't retreated to lick their wounds. They'd called for reinforcements. 200 ships this time, Martins reported, her voice steady despite the odds. "Including 4 dreadnoughts and something I've never seen before. The computer's classifying it as a Planet Killer class vessel." Through her connection to the ship, Sarah could sense the approaching fleet's composition, ships from every major species in the Federation. The reptilian Zektari with their plasma weaponry, the crystalline Veltar whose ships could phase between dimensions, the massive insectoid hive vessels that could spawn fighters by the thousands. But there was something else. The artifact's presence in her mind was growing stronger, showing her visions of what the Prometheus could become. She saw the ship not as it was, but as it could be, a vessel that existed partially outside normal spacetime, powered by the fundamental forces that held the universe together. "Captain," Webb's voice was filled with awe. "The artifact is offering us the next level of integration. But," he paused, looking at his readings, "the energy requirements would mean complete fusion. We wouldn't be operating the ship anymore. We'd become the ship." Sarah felt her crew's thoughts through their growing connection. Lou was fascinated by the technical possibilities. Martinez saw the tactical advantages. Webb was torn between scientific curiosity and concern for their humanity. But beneath all their individual reactions, she sensed their trust in her judgment. The Federation fleet began dropping out of hyperspace, their weapons already charging. At their head was Admiral Zektar's new flagship, a massive construct that seemed to bend light around itself. Through the ship's enhanced communications array, his voice reached them. "Humans of the vessel Prometheus," his words dripped with cold fury, "you have forced our hand. The Phoenix Protocol cannot be allowed to awaken fully. We will destroy this entire star system to prevent its completion. Sarah felt the truth of his threat through the ship's sensors. The planet killer vessel was already beginning to charge its primary weapon, drawing energy from the local star itself. When it fired, nothing in this system would survive. Captain, Lou's voice was tight with urgency. I'm reading massive gravitational distortions. They're going to collapse this star into a black hole. The artifact's presence pulsed through Sarah's consciousness, offering her a glimpse of the choice before them. They could try to run, but the Federation would follow them across the galaxy. They could fight as they were, but even the enhanced Prometheus couldn't face this many enemies. Or they could embrace the final transformation and become something beyond the Federation's ability to threaten. But the cost would be everything they had been. All hands, Sarah announced over the ship's comm system. This is your captain. In 30 seconds, the Federation fleet will begin firing. Their planet killer will destroy this entire system. I can save us, but it means accepting a transformation that will change us forever. She paused, feeling her crew's attention focused on her words. These were her people, her responsibility. Whatever choice she made would determine not just their fate, but possibly the future of all humanity. The artifact can make us something new, something powerful enough to protect Earth and all human colonies. But we won't be entirely human anymore. We'll be the guardians of our species, but we'll also be apart from them. Through the ship's internal sensors, she could see her crew at their stations. Webb nodding slowly as he understood the implications. Martinez checking her weapons one last time. Lou's hands poised over his controls, ready to give everything to keep the ship running. I'm not ordering this, Sarah continued. I'm asking, will you trust me one more time? The responses came immediately, not through words but through their growing mental connection. Webb's curiosity about what they might discover, Martinez's fierce determination to protect humanity, Lou's love for the ship that had become their shared home. Unanimous consent. Do it, Sarah whispered to the artifact, and reality exploded around them. The transformation was beyond anything they had experienced before. Sarah felt her consciousness expand beyond the confines of her human brain, merging completely with the Prometheus's artificial intelligence. But instead of losing herself, she became more than she had ever been. Through the ship's hull, she could feel space itself responding to their presence. The Prometheus began to change, its structure flowing like liquid metal as the artifact reshaped it according to patterns older than most stars. Wings of pure energy extended from its sides, and its hull became a seamless surface that reflected the light of distant galaxies. The Federation fleet opened fire, thousands of weapons targeting the transforming vessel, but the energy beams and projectiles passed through the Prometheus as if it were made of light. The ship existed partially outside normal spacetime now, untouchable by conventional weapons. Sarah reached out with her expanded consciousness and felt the minds of every being in the enemy fleet. Admiral Zektar's confusion and growing terror, the various alien crew members' incomprehension of what they were witnessing, the artificial intelligences of their ships trying desperately to understand something beyond their programming. You wanted to see what the Phoenix Protocol could do. Sarah's voice reached every ship simultaneously, broadcast directly into their minds rather than through their communication systems. Let me show you. The Prometheus moved, but movement was too simple a word for what occurred. The ship folded space around itself, appearing simultaneously at multiple points around the enemy fleet. From each position, it began to sing. The sound wasn't audible in the vacuum of space, but every conscious being in the fleet heard it anyway. It was the song of creation itself, the fundamental frequency that had shaped the universe from the moment of its birth. And where the song touched the Federation ships, they began to change. Not destruction, but transformation. The weapons that had been aimed at humanity began to reshape themselves into tools of creation. The ship's power cores stopped producing energy for war and began generating fields that could heal dead worlds. The artificial intelligences that had calculated how to kill most efficiently suddenly understood the mathematics of peace. Admiral Zektar's face appeared on screens throughout the fleet, but his expression had changed from fury to wonder. "What? What have you done to us?" "Given you a choice," Sarah replied, her voice now carrying harmonics that spoke to something deeper than logic. "The same choice you tried to deny humanity. You can be what you've always been, or you can become something greater." Across the fleet, the various alien crews were experiencing their own transformations. Not physical changes, but shifts in perspective that allowed them to see beyond the narrow confines of their species' prejudices. The Zektari began to understand that strength could be used to protect rather than dominate. The Veltar realized that their dimensional abilities could explore new realms of beauty rather than just tactical advantages. But not all embraced the change. Several ships at the fleet's edge broke formation and jumped to hyperspace, their crews unable to accept the transformation being offered. Sarah let them go. The choice had to be freely made, or it was meaningless. "The Federation as you knew it is over," Sarah announced to those who remained. "But something better can take its place, a true alliance of species working together to explore the universe and protect all life within it." "The planet killer," he said quietly. "How do we deal with its crew?" "They won't accept this transformation." Sarah extended her consciousness toward the massive vessel, feeling the minds within it. They were different from the others, modified by their own species to be perfect weapons, incapable of questioning their orders or feeling mercy. The transformation she offered couldn't take hold in minds that had been deliberately emptied of everything that made consciousness worth having. "Sometimes," she said sadly, "the only mercy is a quick end." The Prometheus moved again, appearing beside the planet killer in an instant. This time, there was no transformation, no offer of choice. There was only a brief flash of golden light, and then the massive vessel was gone. Its matter converted to energy that the Prometheus absorbed and used to strengthen its growing abilities. In the hours that followed, the remaining Federation ships began the long journey back to their homeworlds, carrying news of what they had witnessed. Some would call it the end of the old order. Others would see it as the beginning of something magnificent. Sarah felt her consciousness settling into its new form, still recognizably herself, but expanded beyond anything she had imagined possible. Through her connection to the ship, she could sense her crew experiencing their own adaptations. They were still human in the ways that mattered, but they had become something more. "Captain," Webb's voice reached her through their mental link. "I'm detecting transmissions from Earth. The Federation blockade is breaking up. Some ships are withdrawing. Others are requesting permission to establish diplomatic contact." "And the colonies?" Sarah asked. "Free," Martins reported, her thoughts carrying fierce satisfaction. "The threat of evacuation has been lifted. Humanity is safe." But Sarah knew their mission was just beginning. The Prometheus had become something unprecedented, a bridge between humanity and the greater cosmos. There would be other threats, other challenges. The universe was vast and full of wonders and dangers that required guardians. "Set course for Earth," she ordered. "It's time to go home and show them what we've become." As the transformed Prometheus began its journey toward humanity's birthworld, Sarah felt the artifact's ancient presence settle into a contented hum throughout the ship. The Phoenix Protocol was complete. From the ashes of what they had been, something magnificent had risen. And in the depths of space, other artifacts began to stir, waiting for their own chosen species to discover them. The universe was about to become a much more interesting place.